and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Movie Bite Podcast. This week, we really got a good one for all of you that are tuning in, listening, or watching us. We're going to discuss Tony Kaye's 1998 film, American History X, starring Edward Norton, Eddie Furlong, and a bunch of other well-known actors that made a lot of movies pass after that movie. With me, I'm your host Ruben, and my brother in arms, the Russian. How you doing, brother?
Hello, everybody. Hello. As Ruben mentioned, we're going to be discussing a pretty heavy movie today, American History X. It's been more than 20 years, and I would not see this movie to be relevant as it is today. And I was surprised to see it being relevant 20 years ago. So, with that being said, I guess the only thing we can do is just to jump in and start digesting this for you guys. Um, for the light-hearted and easily fainted, I would say skip this one entirely as a movie and as a podcast because, in my personal opinion, this movie has some of the most brutal scenes in the cinema history. What do you think, Ruben? How would you describe
It's
this?
it's graphic. It's a movie that's very tough to watch. Even I've seen this movie multiple times. In fact, the first time I saw it on my own. I just came across it and I was like, let me check this movie out. And then I was shocked with what I saw. And then I ended up watching the movie multiple times throughout my college. It's a very popular movie in social classes, and because of the topics it touches. But I agree with the Russian. It's a movie that you have to have the stomach for it, and it touches very strong subject. That I mean, back when it was filmed in 1997, released in 1998, these were topics that yeah, they were somehow relevant, but I feel now the times that we are currently living, and I don't want to make this like a political podcast, but unfortunately, with the times that we currently living, this movie hits harder than it probably hit in 1998 when it was released.
Right, like at the moment and the movie was viewed by me, I felt like something like that. It's just a part of the history, and people like praising that regime and that culture. To me, it seemed like they're very in a distant and unapproachable and something that only lived in a cinema universe, right? Obviously the message was clear from the movie perspective back then, and it's clear right now that there's no denying that fact that it's a movie about hate, and it's a movie about how the hate is created, because nobody's born hating anything, right?
Mm-mm.
And how this character goes through life from a simple idea, uh, again an inception, right? When his father speaks to him at the dinner table about the books that the teacher telling him to read, and Derek, played by Edward Norton, just takes that idea, is like, oh, okay, maybe I should listen to my dad. And his dad dies in a tragic accident. He's being a firefighter and trying to put the fire out. We don't get any details how he dies, but apparently he dies in a black neighborhood.
Yeah, just so that everybody knows before we keep going deeper, like the very short premise of this movie: a former neo-Nazi skinhead tries to prevent his younger brother from going down the same wrong path that he did. That's the shortest the premise can be, and this is where the movie starts going deeper, as the Russian was saying.
Right. So there's pretty much two sides of this movie. There's a black and white story being told from the perspective of the past, and then the color scenes are portrayed as what's happening afterwards, and how our character change his belief and change his rational thinking of one side, because it's really ironic. Well, not ironic, but it's really shows you that when he lives in the past and it's black and white, his world views is black and white, literally speaking, right? And then when he comes out, he sees different colors. He sees that the world is not just black and white, and there's a lot of different things that going on. And now, as mentioned by Ruben, he tries to prevent his brother going through the same path. Now, one thing to mention is that this movie was directed by a really unknown director. Um, the director comes from uh, features like music videos. 20K was not known in movie cinema, and I believe Dennis Hooper was the original director who was gonna direct this, but he bailed out. The part of Derek was supposed to be played by Joaquin Phoenix, and he opted out due to the script being super heavy. And the script is written by David McKenna, who uh, who was also a first-time writer on this. He later on got another great movie written by him, which is Blow with Johnny Depp.
Mhm.
And the score was featured as well by somebody who is relatively new. I don't remember her name, but I believe that the only thing she did before, like on a big scale, was Full Monty. Is that's British comedy about male strippers,
Yeah.
and like it's a really contrast going from scoring that movie to scoring American History X. Although she did an excellent job, I feel like the soundtrack to this movie just speaks volumes, literally again. But yeah, let's start breaking it down. What do you think is the main idea besides like hate is bad? How do you
I mean,
how do you even
this
start?
this was a scary movie to watch. Because there's a scene in the movie where we got Derek Vineyard played by Edward Norton, that he is sitting at a dinner table, and his mom's boyfriend, or partner, whichever you want to call it. They're talking about, uh, political issues, racial issues and everything, and the whole scene escalates from a 1 to a 10 easily. And there is a line that Edward Norton's character says in that dinner table that I was just, me and my wife were like scared, like this is shocking how close it is to the times we're currently living. I mean, the point of this movie is, besides like hate, the whole hate topic, you're not born a hater, someone must influence you to become who you are, right? This movie has, throughout the movie, you see a lot of imprinting in all of these characters, that all of these characters look up to a father figure, right? So we have Derek Vineyard's character, whose father figure was his own dad, who unfortunately died putting up a fire, but he saw that death as a wrongful death, and he blames society, he blames all the minorities, right, in that scenario, because if his father gave up his life fighting for like these minorities that shouldn't have any civil rights, and on other hand, and then you see that hate turns him into another persona. Later on, we see Eddie Furlong's character, and for those who don't know who Eddie Furlong is, he played John Connor in Terminator 2. That's his most noticeable role. You see Eddie Furlong's character looking up to Derek, because he doesn't have any more of a father figure other than Derek himself, who's again portrayed by Edward Norton. And this movie opens up with a scene that later on shows you exactly what happens. And it's the scene where you can see where Eddie Furlong's character loses his innocence. It's from that scene, what he witnesses, that turns him into the one thing that his brother was at that moment. This movie, besides being a movie that talks about very strong topics about hate, about uh, social injustice, racial issues. It's a movie about redemption. It shows you that you can be one person, but life turns around and you can get help from any unexpected way. And it's a way that you never like, again, you never expected. And it's an eye-opening story. We have a man who is so driven by hate in this movie, but he himself experiences that injustice, that hate when he's in prison, that he has a quick turnaround. And he realizes that everything he stood up for once was wrong. And it's a redemption story because he gets out of prison and he wants to do right by everyone that he hurt, which is primarily his family. And he doesn't want his little brother to end up in the same path as he did, which is currently the path that his little brother's taken. Right. There's so much in this movie that you can just take scene by scene and break it down. Like Edward Norton's character is helped. And so he commits a crime, which I'm not going to say what crime it is. It's a very gruesome crime. The movie has a very non-visual but graphic scene at the same time.
Well, I mean, we can say he kills three guys who are trying to steal his dad's truck.
Yeah. These three guys are gang members as well, as they play out in the movie. He himself belongs to a neo-Nazi skinhead gang. So he ends up in prison, for murder of three gang members who happen to be African Americans. So he's in prison, he finds himself that, hey, I gotta plant the flag, I gotta be part of the skinhead movement in prison. In this particular scene, you start noticing that what he preaches out on the street and what he thought in the streets, he starts to realize that things are different in prison, and that in prison everything goes. You can be a whitehead, you can be black, you can be a Mexican. In prison, there is no line, right?
There's different rules there, right?
Yeah.
And he can't deal with the consequences of, dealing and wheeling in prison.
Yeah.
The structure. Yeah, you can have that swastika on your chest, but I mean, you're still gonna do business with the different groups inside the prison. That's how that system works.
Exactly.
So to him, it's like, you betraying our beliefs, and these guys like, we don't really have beliefs. Like,
and that's when he starts realizing, like, wait a minute, I've been preaching this all along, and it doesn't apply to every scenario, right? Throughout the movie, he starts experiencing this. In the movie, he ends up being the character of Derek, ends up being raped by his own gang members, right? It's a very strong scene too, and that's what breaks him when he sees that his own kind, the people that he thought will always be protecting him, pretty much betrayed him, right? And he doesn't see the turnaround until he realizes that the one person that he ends up working with in prison, like folding towels and blankets and everything, was a black man. And isn't until he realizes that the black man, was the one that helped him survive in prison by protecting him. Because he knew that he was going to get killed in prison at some point, right? Because he killed 3 black men, and that's why he's in, right?
Right.
But he never gets touched, and he always wondered why. And at the very end, when he gets released, like, I have this following feeling. It's because of you, his work partner, that I never got killed in prison. And he's like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I was denying it, but deep down, it's the truth.
Right.
And and that's when he realizes that, hey, like, there's more to life than just hate. Like, we're all the same. All right. Doesn't matter the color of our skin. We are all the same. And he wants to have this redemption. He wants to protect his family. He wants to teach that to his younger brother. This movie has a very ironic ending. It's sad, but it's like a poetic sadness, right? His younger brother ends up getting shot in school by a black man who happens to be a gang member as well. And that's the irony right here. Like he had his redemption, he had his epiphany to turn around, but it was too late. And it's a way of seeing that your sins will always catch up to you, no matter what you do, no matter how much forgiveness you get in life. Your sins get up to you. Karma,
Like,
like what comes around goes around. It's karma.
and that's the thing about this movie. It's like hate only creates hate. Like you don't get any solutions. You never get any kind of satisfaction. You just roll that ball, and that ball becomes bigger and it's heavier to carry, and nothing you do is gonna ever satisfy you. Like it's and that's the thing that the young people in that movie and even nowadays, like they get confused and they don't feel like they belong to some group or some movement or something, and they start fighting these same-minded individuals who will take them in. And that's how the group here is getting created. And the main guy, the who is like the head of the group, his name is Cameron Alexander in the movie. He's
Mm-hmm.
played by Stacy Keach. The thing about him is he just masterminds all of this. He just fuels this hate. He does not take any part of it. He just sits in his office, where he lets his garage or whatever that is uh, get all these people in and play those neo-Nazi songs and
Yeah.
collude and get execute the plans of like demolishing that the store which belonged to the minority owner. And uh, and that's how it is also nowadays. Like when people, they feel left out of certain social interactions, they just go online and obviously they find and search for these groups, and they are welcome there, right? But they don't stand for anything. These people are just gonna be used for whatever cause, and in this situation it's the cause of hating something else and just distraction. I mean, we're on this planet not to take it apart. We're supposed to, create and build. That's the whole purpose of being here. But this movie shows that when you start that hate movement, you're not only gonna rot inside yourself, you're also gonna destroy everything which you love and which loves you. And in this case, Derek's family, like the mom gets cancer, his sister is like barely in school, but she's like, I'm gonna quit my school so we can make some money.
Yeah.
And Derek says, no, you're not gonna, you're gonna have to follow the right. But you also see it's a different change from the scene you mentioned where they're at the table and they discuss the social inequality, and Derek is on one side and his sister is on completely opposite side. And the I don't remember the name that they mentioned. It's the gentleman who got assaulted by four cops, and it was videotaped in late.
Rodney King. Yeah.
And the same thing when I was watching that scene, like what happened last year with the police brutality, that you like reliving it, like exactly what they're talking about. It's the same way some people approach that subject, how Derek approaches it, and obviously the others took it completely opposite way. And it's like it's scary. It's 22 years later and nothing changed. The things just got worse. So to me, I don't understand how people cannot wake up. Like, how can we not watch this movie and see, like, first of all, it's based on a real story as well, and second of all, like, nothing good is gonna come out of it. And events which shook the whole country in the past, it's proven fact that you can't win by hate. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and what are you winning? Like, what kind of society you're gonna live in if that prevails? Like, right? Like, what kind of society we would have if Hitler would won World War II? Like, it's mind blowing to me. Like, would we even have a society? I mean, we can
Yeah.
call it a society. So to me, like, it's a very clear message. It's well defined. It's well presented, and and I have no argument with the message. Now, since we have to break it down from the movie standpoint, I do have a lot of questions to the storyline, to the plot, to how it's all scrambled together. When you watch this movie, it's very easy to find what it's about and to find how the message is delivered. Now, what we just discussed is confusing is a few minor plot points, right? So first of all, we never get explained uh, how the black guy who helped him out, like what he did, right? I guess we don't have to, but still, to me, in just the
About the guy in prison that helped him.
right, the guy
Well,
who
he
helped
says
him.
that he was stealing a TV,
No,
and
we know what happened to him.
yeah,
He was selling TV. He dropped the TV on
on
the
the cops, and he got
6 years,
6 years for
right?
just that.
But
Yeah,
we not explained what role he's playing in criminal society
I got you.
in the prison and how he could, talk the other people of hurting Derek, right?
Hmm.
Another thing, like you talked about the rape scene, like yeah, he gets raped by his own skinheads, and they let him be. Like another thing, like we watch Shawshank Redemption, those guys don't let go. Like
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I just don't believe in that they were like, oh, we just do it once and we'll let you go and you off the grid. No, like they would make him a bitch, and I don't think he would have made it out alive. I'm just putting it out there by what I see in the key holes in a plot. Another thing, like the last scene, the murder scene, is like it's so coincidental. Like first of all, the guy had to know that he's gonna go to the restroom and be hiding with the gun. Obviously, it's all for dramatic effects, but if you break it down, all of that stuff, it doesn't really work. Like from the standpoint of the writing the script and making logical consent decisions when it comes down to the storyline. So I have a lot of rewatching this movie. I have a lot of like things that don't add up in the end, which does not take it away from the movie and the message. But it's also when you read the story behind it, you understand that this movie was edited 3 times. The
yeah.
two edits, which were done um, by Kay himself,
Hmm.
the studio did not take, and then Norton did the final cut, final editing himself, and he got what we have,
Yeah.
and actually 20 minutes longer than original director's cut.
It's funny, not to cut you off, but I was listening the other day to one of my other podcasts, and they had Beverly D'Angelo as a guest. So I was listening to Victory, the podcast, as an Entourage podcast, and Beverly D'Angelo played she played Barb, the agent, in that show. So they had her as a special guest, and one of the subjects they talked was about the experience she had as making American History X. And she said, I mean, that was the first movie ever since her other movies before then that she did a lot of comedies. That was the first movie that made her like believe again in the art of acting, right? But then she did say um, that there is a possibility there is 3 versions of the film that exist, and we only saw the one that Eddie Norton had the final say in, right? And then she confirmed that Edward Norton was supposed to be a supporting role, but he was coming off from the success of Rounders and
No, Rounders were afterwards. It was Primal Fear.
Primal Fear.
Primal
Yes.
Fear was when he stood out.
Yes. But when this movie was released, I think Rounders was around the corner to be released.
Right.
Too.
Like he did back to back. He did.
Yeah. So the studio wanted more of Edward Norton. So he was hired as a supporting role. Edward Furlong was supposed to be the main character. The movie was supposed to be told from Edward Furlong's perspective all the time, and at the end, Derek was the one who was supposed to be shot, not Edward Furlong.
Right.
Right, because again, the whole sins catch up to you. There's like if you hate, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, that would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, but Edward Norton has a reputation of being very difficult to work with and wanting more screen time if the story fits it. And that's why there's like three different edits of this film, because he had the final say, and they added about, like you said, about 20 more minutes of him, and it changed the narrative completely. And she confirmed that in the interview. It's like, yeah, we ended up seeing a different movie than what was scripted in the very beginning.
Right, and the director himself did not want his name
Yeah.
attached to the project at all. But since he was already, bashing it in the press, I believe he like took like some ads worth of
Yeah.
$100,000 just to like put the movie to shames, and it's kind of backfired, I guess,
Yeah. And if
because
you're a part of the Directors Guild of America, that's a big no.
right, he never made another movie afterwards,
Yeah.
not that I know of or ever
No, I
seen.
checked his IMDb credit. He
Yeah,
doesn't have anything feature wise. He has a lot of documentaries, but not
right,
feature wise. So that's American History was his last movie that he was credited for.
right. And I believe he also made a documentary called Humpty Dumpty, talking about the American History X, but that was also buried
Gotcha.
and never ever released. But yeah, like going back to what we were talking about is like, yeah, this story, it just has too many things which just happen for no particular reason. Like, why these guys so who rob him, right? So they're in a basketball
Mm-hmm.
court, and they know who the guy is. Like, I don't believe that was a random house. And if that was the random house, like what are the coincidence, what would be the possibility of that ever happening? um you
All
good?
right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so like the things which do not add up is there, and like you can see that it's a first time director, and it's a first time because I believe he did cinematography as well for the movie himself. Like the shots when him and his girlfriend, Nazi girlfriend, are talking after he comes back, like the cut, like her face doesn't even come into the screen. Like, all like some shots are just wrong. Like the ending part where you get him shot, and then they showed like the scene of the sea. I mean, I don't get that. I understand it's art movie, but like it just, some of the stuff, like I looked at the IMDb credit and it's like 8.5, and it's like top of, like, it's top 50 movies of all time. I think it's top 5 message movies of all time, but I can't buy in of that it's being a great movie. I mean, if you
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say top 50. I would say probably top 100.
right, it just some of the things, like from the movie perspective, that's what I'm talking about, not for
Yeah.
the message. It just does not work out for me personally. But again, like the sound, the performance, I mean, Edward Norton does, like, it's incredible. He gains weight to play the
Yeah.
character. He refuses, well, he didn't refuse, well, he did not take the role of Private Ryan. He was supposed to be working for Spielberg in Saving Private Ryan. That was technically his role, but since the conflict of
He was
shooting,
supposed to play the Private Ryan role
Private
that
Ryan,
ended
yep,
up being for Matt Damon, right?
yep.
Yeah.
And we're talking about movie which made $500 million versus the movie which made like 30
I
million.
mean, yeah, but
But
at the end, it paid off because
right,
American History X got him his first nomination for Best Actor in the Academy Awards.
he didn't get nominated for Primal Fear.
He got Supporting Actor for Primal Fear.
Oh, okay.
He has 3 nominations in his career. 2 of them are for supporting, Primal Fear and Birdman. And American History X is his only Best Actor nomination, and it's the only Oscar that American History got nominated for. Nothing else, just for his performance.
Right. And I mean, I don't blame them. Like, there's a lot of things which in this movie, it just, I mean, how do I put in mind, like it just they don't adapt story wise, at least to me. Like when we watched it, like compared to all the movies we discussed, like this one has the weakest script. I like again, story wise. And what Norton did afterwards with Rounders, like you mentioned, he's phenomenal in there. I mean, after that he does Fight Club,
Yeah.
He's superb, and then I guess like he burned out. Like I can't give you any other movie where I would be like Edward Norton was
Uh,
spectacular in it.
yeah, because after that, I mean, he did after Fight Club. I think he did Death to Smoochie with Robin Williams. It's like a dark comedy satire. He ended up doing Italian Job with Mark Wahlberg.
I guess that was just a cash grab. I mean,
And I'm yeah, I could have been. I mean,
Charlize Theron was there too, right?
yeah, and he plays the bad guy in that movie. But to be fair, Edward Norton has a reputation in Hollywood that he's a very difficult actor to work with.
Right.
And whoever have if you ever seen Birdman, the character that he plays an actor in that movie. He's basically playing himself. The version that you see of his character in Birdman is how a lot of people describe Edward Norton being. So if you ever see Birdman,
I
it's
haven't
Michael
seen it in a
Keaton.
long time. Like
Yeah,
I
Michael Keaton,
remember,
Edward Norton. Yeah,
right? Emma Stone
Edward,
was in it.
Emma Stone's in it.
Right.
Great movie. Um, but he basically plays himself, and he plays himself the reason why because he knows he has a reputation of being very difficult to work with.
Right. I mean, Incredible Hulk. Like how do you mess up that? Like you could have been with Marvel for like and make all this
Again,
money, right?
he wanted a lot of creative control with that character, and Marvel told him like, no.
Yeah. He tried to do some. I've read somewhere that he was doing the editing for the Incredible Hulk as well.
He did, yeah,
And
and
then,
he did some rewrites on the script.
yeah, Marvel not
Yeah,
gonna let you do that.
and yeah, Marvel's not gonna let you do that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it would have been weird to see Edward Norton playing the Hulk in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, I think Mark Ruffalo is cast perfectly for that role. I can't picture anybody else playing that role. I mean, and it's the same with the other actors that play all these characters. You know, Downey Jr. playing Iron Man,
Right.
Chris Evans, all these actors. I can't see anybody else playing those roles anymore.
Now, to be fair, like my when they casted Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, like I wish they gave it to Edward Norton. I mean, now you're saying like he's difficult to work with, but I think he would have been a great Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Like original Spider, like not what we're seeing nowadays, but like those first Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3.
yeah,
But yeah, this movie it's heavy. It's not for everyone, but I think that everyone should watch it. Like it's one of those educational films to see how one madness can consume a man, and how one small idea can turn you into a murderer and destroy your entire family. And when you come back for your actions, your sins catch up and your brother gets executed in the bathroom. And that scene, you see that the guy who pulls the trigger, he instantly regrets it. Like you can see it in his eyes. He's like, I don't, why the fuck did I do that?
mm-hmm.
But being a part of the gang, he also, I guess, got, whatever initiation or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they don't really explain why that happens, but
I agree. There's a
like
lot of plot hole because this could have been like in a proper story setting.
right,
That bullet would have be a vendetta for Derek killing
right,
the three gang members
Right.
years before, right? Because no, they never say that it's the same gang, but you just have to assume.
like they don't like. There's
Yeah.
no description of anything really what's going on. Like
But if I'm a writer, I
right,
would be like, this is the initiation. We find out that Derek Vineyard is out.
right,
So, hey, this bullet's meant to him, but hey, let's hurt him in another way.
exactly,
Let's kill his brother.
Right.
And they find out that his brother's Danny Vineyard, who goes to the high
Exactly.
school,
Like
and get
how-
this kid as part of initiation.
right.
Hey, you want to be in this gang? This is what you need to do.
Like it's just few
Right.
lines of the script and just few shots, like, and then everybody will be like, okay, this is what like actually happens, and now you have to guess. Another thing, when they mention, like when Derek and Danny are right before the end, they're in that a cafe, which is actually a very famous cafe, the Reservoir Dogs and the Big Lebowski
Yeah,
there as
yeah,
well. So when they're there, like the cops come in with the Sweeney with the teacher, and they're like, "Well, we need you to calm down the boys because Alexander got attacked or something, and you need to talk to them." So remember that? That's you don't even
yeah,
like it's in the script. It's in the scene, and it's like that leads to nothing, and it means absolutely
yeah.
like what does
I
it
noticed that when I was
represent?
watching it the other day because I was more focused to the
Right,
details,
exactly. Like
and
that
I was
means
like, "Where's this leading to?" Like, it
right,
looks like they were hiring for some undercover work,
right. Like
and they're trying to, "Hey, man, I know you're going out, but I need you to get back in the gang because I need you to take down Alexander Cameron, right?
right.
Cameron Alexander, right?"
And speaking of Sweeney, like he shows up in a prison after the rape happens, like while he's laying on a the table, whatever. Like
Yeah,
how did he find out? And like what is this teacher doing in prison? Like and how he got behind all the curtains and he's right there sitting with him? Like that doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
Like what is he doing there? Like
I agree.
and he's like, well, if you
The movie has flaws, like heavy
right,
flaws when it comes to the story and the editing, but the performances in this movie are so strong that you just forget about that.
right, like if you go and watch it on the first go, you miss all of this stuff. Like that the movie consumes you as a viewer, and you following this story and these dramatic scenes which happen. Like they just capture you, and all the other bullshit which we're talking about right now, you miss it completely. And I mean, it's okay, like that works. But when you go into you dissect the scene by scene and episode by episode, you go like, whoa, like none of this makes none of this makes any sense. Like all of these situations are circumstantial. Like his brother being murdered is circumstantial. It has nothing to do with him. It never explained that it was ever like it just again
It plays out like it's just an angry kid just shooting this white boy because at the beginning of the movie he stood up in front of him, right? And he's pissed off because of that.
right,
That's how it plays out. Like, I'm just gonna shoot him because he
yeah,
confronted me.
because I have a gun. Like I have
I have a gun. I'm a bigger man, so and that's how it plays out. And like, if you watch the movie for the first time, that's you're like, oh, that's why he killed him. But like deep down, if you watch this movie and you break it down, you deep down you know like, no, that can't be the reason why he gets shot. It
right,
has to be because of his brother.
correct,
Because throughout the movie, like he's saying, like they're out to get me. I gotta watch my back. Because you know, he
of
was.
course,
They even say it. And therefore, like narrative goes, my brother has been released secretly out of prison in silence. The only time you get released out of prison in silence is because they know there's gang retaliation, and if they find out you're out, you're dead.
right. And
Right? But
instead,
then that never gets touched ever in the movie after Eddie Furlong says it while he's narrating
yeah.
the movie.
And like if you don't catch it, like the one thing that I noticed as well in the recent viewings is when he's typing his essay, he's like, "Well, tell me about your brother," and he's like, "My brother would have gotten life if I took the stand."
Yeah, and
Right,
he deletes it. Yeah,
right, and he deletes that, and it's like, okay, well, that explains a lot of stuff. Like because how do you get like what 4 years for the murdering three people like in cold blood, right? Yeah, so that's why because they said it was in self-defense, and obviously like you
yeah,
can't really
and you're only gonna catch that if you've watched the movie several times like we done. But if this is a movie that you're watching for the first time,
right.
those little details are just gonna slip by.
Yeah, another scary thing is like when they do have that confrontation at the table, and his sister does not want to listen to his neo-Nazi like girlfriend speaking bullshit. She tries to leave, and he starts like choking her, and the line she says is like, "I can't breathe." Like, bro, like I had like, yeah, I had like chills when that shit happened. Like, it's like, what the fuck, man? 22 years ago, this movie was shot, and we still fucking live in the same society with even more like deeper disturbed individuals who do this fucking crazy shit, which I don't understand. Like to me, it just like the decisions that people make, like it's great for artistic cinema, which we can move, which we watch and we know it's not real, and we talk about it and we learn those lessons, and we never repeat them in real life. Like that's what art is for, like literature and all these stories and all these like that arc that the main characters go through, all these things that make us feel with him, like those meant for us to take out and learn. And without actual experiencing those things, you take them and you use them in your day-to-day life and your views and your opinions, like but you don't follow exactly step by step what this guy is doing, right? Because then it just, you're fucking lunatic.
Yeah.
But the performance from all of the cast, it's good. Like I don't have any issues with anybody. And even the Seth Ryan character, Ethan
Suplee.
That's
Yeah.
the guy who I know from My Name Is Earl. Apparently, like he had somebody coming up to him and yelling at him in the supermarket about tattoos he had. He's like, he's like, those are not real tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in chronology in this movie is just part of the. It's a part of the story. It's the wall that Danny has, like with all that Nazi memorabilia. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, what? I mean, I'm talking about here. Like, this concept is so alien to me, and I just don't understand how you can go back to it. Is you look at World War II, like everything that happened in that time. If you read any history, if you watch any movies from describing it, you have 60 million people giving up their lives, right? You have 20 million of Russians, you have 12 million of Germans, and so on, and those are staggering numbers. Like, and now you're gonna put swastika on your chest. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I just don't understand. Like, something like that needs to be buried in history books, not portrayed on streets. And not
Yeah. I think the time this movie was released, 1998. I mean, this wasn't a sensitive topic as it is now. This movie would have not made it to the light of day if it's released in this era.
I mean,
It would have been a difficult movie. It would have not. It might have been boycotted.
but that's the thing. Like, why? Like, fucking a. Like, we need to stop this with this snowflake bullshit. Like,
no, I get you, but it's the reality. Like, look at movies like Black Klansman, right? Came out what 2 years ago,
right?
Spike Lee, about the undercover cop that infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan, and they never found out that he was black. Right, that movie got a lot of backlash when it got released in theaters. Right,
and that was a great movie.
Oh, it's a fantastic movie, a great movie. I will highly recommend that movie to anybody who hasn't seen it. It's one of Spike Lee's best. Great movie.
25th Hour. Again, Edward Norton.
25th Hour is not Spike Lee. That's Edward Norton's movie.
No, Spike Lee directed it.
Spike Lee directed? I thought that was Edward Norton's directorial debut.
No. Hold up.
Let's look it up. I got the IMDb pulled up too.
25th Hour. Spike Lee, baby. Come on. You don't challenge me on the facts.
I'm sorry.
Don't challenge me on the facts. Comes out here.
Well, I haven't seen 25th Hour.
You have not seen 25th Hour?
I have not seen 25th Hour.
Please end the podcast right now. I will buy that movie for you. Dude, that movie has
this is like best... Baby Driver all over again.
Dude, that movie, I think that's when the Ed Norton as a talented actor dies for me. And
I thought he got
Philip Seymour is in it. The girl from the True Blood. Is it True Blood?
Anna Paquin?
Yes, she is in it.
I swear to God, I thought he directed that movie. He wasn't he, and somehow he used the salary that he got for Fight Club to produce 25th Hour? Is that the case?
I don't know. I know that I know that. Wait, who did David Bennett? Is this?
David Benoit. That sounds
Oh my
familiar.
God, this is the guy who did Game of Thrones. Okay, never mind. I take everything I said back. It's a garbage movie. Fucking burn it at the stake. Thank God you did not watch it.
For
Jesus,
for,
you
for
go.
those who are listening, Alex, the Russian, has this hate for Game of Thrones after the final season.
I mean, who doesn't? Like, Jesus
I
Christ.
still like Game of Thrones.
No, fuck. Okay, never
It's
mind.
it's
Fuck
tough
this.
to ignore it. It has 6 good seasons.
Sex, good seasons. There's a lot
Six,
of sex in
six.
this
I'm sorry, my broken English doesn't get to you.
broken English. I think between both of us, like our English is superbly broken. Um, but no, like
So you're taking it back to don't watch 25th Hour.
I mean, Jesus Christ, like it's been so well imprinted in me as a good movie, and apparently that this motherfucker wrote it, and it's a novel by him. But fuck, I mean, even assholes, I guess, make good stuff at some point, right?
Yeah. You know that speaking of Edward Norton, he's a regular in Wes Anderson movies. He's been on the
Yeah, but
Grand
it's
Budapest.
right. But
He's
Wes
going to be
Anderson
on the French Dispatch. It's supposed to be released later this year.
was supposed to be released last year, but
Yeah, but COVID. Yeah.
so is like
Moonrise
other
Kingdom.
movies.
Oh shit! I forgot that Edward Norton made The Illusionist.
Oh God, it's a prestige knockoff, which fucking never caught up.
You're
Isn't
you're
that,
you're such in a hateful mood right now.
I mean, I'm not. No, well, we discussed in the hateful movie.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but no, I don't hate.
after American History X, he did Rounders, right? And then he did Fight Club. And after that, he started doing,
Weird shit.
yeah, Keeping the Faith, The Score, Italian Job, Kingdom of Heaven. Apparently, he's in that one. I forgot he was. And then he did Incredible Hulk. Uh, damn. Yeah, you're right. He hasn't done. Oh shit, he was in The Bourne Legacy. I totally forgot he was in that movie.
Really?
Yeah, he plays Cornel Eric Bayer. I think he's like the villain, the slash villain, quote villain in the movie.
Hmm.
But yeah, Isles of Dogs as well. He voiced one of the dogs. Yeah, I remember now.
And then he did Marvelous Brooklyn, but I fell asleep during that movie.
Yeah, he wasn't Alita. He was the Nova at the very end of the movie. You see his face.
Right.
That's a very surprise. Oh, but we'll never get to see the sequel. Anyways, but yeah, you got anything else to say about this movie before we wrap
Honestly,
it up?
just you gotta watch this for his brilliant performance and for the message it delivers, and be happy. Like, discover love for yourself, and don't hate. Like, it's the easiest thing not to do. Like, everything that you can hate, you can either just disregard or learn to accept and love. Like, we're here for a period of time. Like, you don't have all the time in the world to be spiteful, and if you're spiteful, your time on this planet is going to be miserable, and it can end as we see in this movie very abruptly, right? So all the decisions you make, and that also goes by to the people who are parents. Like, see and learn from how you raise your kids. What you installing in them, how you nurture them, how you like, it's all going to come back to you, because everything, 90% of the things that kids learn are going to be from parents, right? And then obviously then their peers, but those peers are going to be again brought by parents. And if you just decide to give them a fucking iPad and let them be, they will find crazy shit on the internet, and that's going to be imprinted in their brains, and that's going to be the driving force behind their decisions and their thoughts and their actions. So yeah, like, if you decided to put a kid on this planet, like, fucking take care of them, not the bullet at you. I'm sure you're going to be a great father. You are, but oh,
I'm gonna let my kid watch this movie. He turned 6 years old.
right, watch this, son. Like, don't you ever
This is how you become a man today.
right.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's It's a tough movie. If you've never seen it, you probably want to watch a Disney movie after that one. No, no
Probably wanna take a
musical,
shower.
something lovable, a happy ending.
Right.
Because this movie has nothing of that. It's not loving. It's not beautiful. It's a reality.
It's a grim reality.
It's a grim reality. That's all I have to say. But you definitely should at least watch this movie some point in your life. That way you can say, "I seen it."
Right. And you have to you have to understand people who are like that, right? There was something that they either weren't loved or they made a wrong path, step, and the thing is, like, you can't write them off. Like, you still can communicate, and if they listen, maybe they will come back from their hate trip and let it be, pass it on. Like, hate is just creating hate, and it's not going to lead you to any wonderful place.
Less hate, more peace and love.
There you go. And that's what the podcast is about. It's all about love, guys.
Peace, and love. I know.
Well, it's not going to be peaceful the next episode we're going to do, because
we're going at it, brother. We're going at it.
I've been challenged to defend one of the best movies, in my personal opinion, on this planet. Okay? It's the most wonderful piece of cinematography ever created by men.
Nope.
And I stand by my belief.
Nope.
The movie we're going to be discussing, drum roll, is going to be Gravity. And I know at least one person is eager to watch his duel.
To my wife that's listening to this podcast, we will be discussing Gravity next week.
Yes, it's time to pick up the swords and put the
I'm gonna give you 30 minutes of why I do not like that movie.
Okay, you better start writing stuff down, because
I've been training my whole life for this one.
Okay, it's a 90-minute movie, so
I'm gonna have 30 minutes of why.
30 minutes of
that's
hate.
all I need.
Gotcha.
All right, people.
Everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for all your feedback. We appreciate you. Thank you for being with us. If you're still here, for two people, my mom and your wife, we love you. By the way, it's my mom's birthday.
We got people that watches our video. They've been hitting over 50 views. So there's people out there.
It's a Chinese bots. It's
all right.
Nobody leaving comments.
But if you are a true fan, thank you so much.
Yeah. And yes, my mom's birthday. Give me a second. Let me say, Mom, I love you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Not the movie I would recommend watching on your birthday, but happy birthday, Ma.
Happy birthday. So again, thanks all for tuning in. Thanks for your support. We appreciate the feedback. If you ever have a movie you want us to talk about, just hit us up. We'll put it on our list. We got a lot of movies to talk, but we'll definitely make room for any recommendations. We're up to that.
Yep.
Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel. That's where all of our video version of the podcast gets released. You can find us, the audio version, on any of your favorite podcast stations: iHeart, Spotify, Apple, Google, whichever you use. We are all on there.
Hey, newsflash: if they're listening, I'm sure they found us. Okay.
Make sure to give us also a rating on our podcast. We can use that as feedback as well. Again, thank you all for tuning in, listening,
Gravity,
watching us.
baby. Gravity.
Check out American History X, available to buy or rent on any digital platform. Give it a shot. And again, next week we'll be discussing Gravity, and that will be a fun one. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you, guys.